y'all, guess what? I'm not in LA anymore. I am purposefully homeless. A lot has happened in a week. What's up, y'all? It's Rachel Elizabeth, and you're watching Real Talk with Rach, where we talk about things that are kind of difficult to talk about, or they're just real, they're relatable. Things that people don't really like to talk about usually get us deeper in relationship, and they help us grow. They help us become more awesome human beings. Most people just stick to surface conversations, and those don't get us anywhere. So that's my heart for this series, is to get us having conversations and digging deeper after the video is over. So I would love to hear from you. If you have questions or anything you want me to answer, any topic suggestions, my email is info@causefitness.com. Y'all, if you have not been keeping up on Instagram or social media, I need you to go watch last week's vlog, because it explains why I started this crazy journey of faith, and you guys can check that out right here, and I'll also put that in the description box below. I think I called it "I'm About to Be Homeless." And that'll give you a little bit more of an origin story to this. But what I really want to talk about today is the perspective that this last week has given me, not having a home. In short, last Saturday, I packed up all of my stuff, put my home necessities, like things I would need if I had my own place, I put that in storage, and I took the necessities and put them in my car, and I took off. I hit the road. And all I had to go on was the absolute certainty that I had heard from God multiple times, and it had been confirmed through His Word and other people and prayer multiple times, just to go, just to leave. And the only other word I got was to be prepared. So what does it mean when God says go and be prepared? That means pack, right? That means be ready to go at any moment. So I did. And this reminds me a lot of when God told Abraham to leave, basically leave his family and go to a land that He will show him. So Abraham left without any idea of the destination. I believe that's Genesis 12:1. Check that out. But the other story that this whole trip reminds me of, I just read about in Acts, where Philip was told by the Spirit to go south, and he didn't have a destination. He just went south, and he was obedient to God, and he left. And on that journey, while he was on his way to some unknown destination, God led him to the Ethiopian, where he was able to help him understand what he was reading, which was the Old Testament book of Isaiah. And the passage this guy was reading just happened to be a prophecy about Jesus coming. And Philip, and this is after Jesus had already came and lived the perfect life, died on the cross, and then resurrected and sent His disciples out as the very first Jesus followers or Christians or church. This was after that. So Philip was able to explain to him what the prophet Isaiah was talking about when he said everything prophesying the Messiah or Christ. So he was able to say, hey, Jesus was just here. Jesus is the guy. And he was able to baptize him that day, and then he went on his way. So everything about this last week has been like that, and it has been the absolute most exciting, most nerve-wracking, most terrifying, most fulfilling week maybe I've ever had. I don't know. There's been some amazing things that God has allowed me to do in my life so far, but having to trust God at this level has been just foundation rocking, and it has strengthened my faith and tremendously increased my trust in God. And I highly recommend any one of you try it, because when you're forced to rely on God as your only thing, it completely changes your perspective of pretty much everything. So many things that we see as like so important, you get to see are really not that important at all. And the things that truly matter are what make life beautiful. And that is loving God and loving other people. God, He is all about relationship. That's what all of this is about. That's what the entire Bible is about. That is what Jesus is about. That is what life in general is about. It's about relationship. It's about relationship with God first and others second. And you can't love people unless you love God. And by that, I just mean that we're not going to be able to fully understand and grasp what it means to truly sacrificially love and serve other people as more important than ourselves until we truly understand that God was our example first. God is our example. Jesus is our example. And God became man in Jesus so that we'd have someone to relate to who could relate to us in everything that we've ever gone through and more. And somebody who lived life so perfectly that we could actually look to him as the standard. Now, I'm not by any means saying we have to be perfect, because that's not possible. We're human. But God, in his grace, sent Jesus to save us from ourselves, essentially, in order to restore us to right relationship with God, so that we can know his love, so that we can love other people. And if y'all are still with me, I have experienced firsthand what it means to understand God's love for me by his example first, in relationship with him, and through the people that love God, more than I ever have in my entire life this week. Because last week, I left everything I knew, and I asked God to lead me where he wanted me to go and to provide a place for me to stay every day. And he led me by his people. I have been sharing this whole journey on social media, and if y'all missed the Instagram stories, I actually just uploaded those with with fancy thumbnails, but they're actually just Instagram stories, so forgive the fact that they're pretty choppy. But if you watch them knowing they're Instagram stories, then it's a little easier to watch. But it'll give you more of an inside scoop of what this week has been like, and you can see those on my new playlist, Purposefully Homeless, on my YouTube channel, and I'll actually link that in the description box below. But the fact is, God used social media to connect me to you so that you could see what I was going through, and in your generosity and your hospitality and your heart for God, you could offer me a place to stay wherever I've been. And that has been amazing, and I can't thank you enough. And I'm suddenly emotional because it's been so incredible to see people who genuinely love God reach out to a total stranger and let me stay with them. And it has been just so encouraging. And I think the other reason I'm getting emotional right now is because I also saw the opposite in effect this week. In this perspective of homelessness, which in my case is just another word for faith. It's just another word for expressing this trust I have in God, or have to have in God, in this journey. But in this perspective, I experienced one night this week where I fully expected somebody at a church that I went to for a women's ministry group to offer me a place to stay. And I didn't expect it in a way where I had an attitude of entitlement. That's not what I mean. All I mean is that when people truly love Jesus, their hearts are for people like Jesus' heart is for us. And it's natural for people who love Jesus, truly know Jesus' love for them, to open up their homes in hospitality. And in my opinion, I think that that's one of the ways that you can see if someone truly loves Jesus or not. And I know there are plenty of legitimate reasons why that wouldn't work out. Like if they have a full house already, or, you know, having absolutely no emotional bandwidth to share anything else anymore. Like, though I get it. But I went to a church group one of the nights this week that had about 15 to 20 people in it, all women, and not one of them offered me a place. And it broke my heart, not because I expected them to bend over backwards for me because I deserve it, but because this is the church, and church people are supposedly the ones who love Jesus the most and understand God's love for them the most. Now, disclaimer, I know that the church isn't for perfect people, it's for broken people, and there are a lot of people who don't know how much Jesus loves them yet, because that happens in relationship and time spent alone with God and his word. But it was shocking. I don't know why it was so shocking to me and so heartbreaking to me to see a group of 15 to 20 women in a church, and not one of them asked if they could help me or even point me in the direction of somebody else who they knew who could help me. Now, long story short, I had a place to stay that night through another friend, but it was all so last minute, and this other friend that reached out connected me to someone at 11 p.m. at night who I had never met before, who I had no idea who they were, and they opened up their house to me, and they were so amazing. And they told me that they just love Jesus and this is what they're about. And that, my friends, is exactly what I'm trying to get across right now. That heart comes from spending time with Jesus and understanding who he is through his word, through his example, and truly desiring for God to change your heart. Now, this is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And I am absolutely not perfect at that. But if anything really stood out to me this first week, it is the incredible hospitality, generosity, and humility and love of so many people who love Jesus. And that glitch in the system, that one night, couldn't possibly deter me from knowing and understanding the love of Jesus for me and his providence and his constant faithfulness in this crazy adventure of just trusting him with every day. I just had to share that with you guys because I think that's the number one problem with the church and why people don't want to go to church, because the church is supposed to be a group of people who is so wild about getting to know Jesus and spending time with him in prayer and in reading his word and getting to know him through the Bible, that God can transform their hearts. So that's just where I want to land. Everything good is from God, and we're never going to be satisfied until we let him change our hearts. So I encourage you guys to get to know who I know and just keep up on this journey with me. Thank you so much to my Patreon family. I couldn't do this without you guys, and I'll just keep you guys posted on Instagram. So give me a thumbs up if you like this video and share it with your friends. I hope I can continue to be an encouragement to you guys. Praying for you, love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye. If you watched all the way to the end of this video,